In a desperate attempt to reach his ill wife, organist Anton Phibes is horrifically disfigured in a car accident and presumed dead. When he learns that his wife died during an operation, Phibes blames her surgeons and plots an elaborate revenge to punish them for their incompetence, inspired by the biblical plagues. It's the Abominable Dr. Phibes! Welcome, class, to Ghoul School. Unfortunately, Professor Damien Fungus is a mushroom. Don't know how I missed that while hiring, and is therefore legally barred from professorship. So, please welcome your substitutes.
Hello and welcome to another period at the Ghoul School. I am Brian, your first Brian Stork.
And I am Noland Nosferatu. It's not a question this week.
Period.
I figured it out. Vanoy.
Nosferatu, full stop.
And I'm your third host, Caro, Coroner's Worst Nightmare Night. Because I'm back, baby.
Frankenstein
I have risen
magic.
from the dead.
Hell yeah.
Frankenstein magic.
I gotta say,
put me back together.
It was quite disturbing to see the Frankenstein magic happen in real time.
Yeah, I should have warned you guys about that. It is rather disturbing to watch my ghost be stuffed back into my flesh suit, but
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys could make it through with minimal trauma.
It was mostly...
Just as we must see on WandaVision this week.
It was weird that they mostly just used a rolling pin to get it back in there. I thought it would be a little bit more scientific.
My body's more like dough than like human body, so it's actually easiest that way.
Yeah.
It was kind of like making a croissant.
Yeah, you gotta fold me a couple times. Really get that barrage in there, you know?
No, I don't.
I've got 23 layers.
What are we watching? What are we watching this
pure
week?
butter.
Please.
My ghost is made of butter. Anyway, this week we are watching what I believe to be a diamond in the rough, even though I have not watched the film.
Always a good sign.
Yes.
It is a 1971 British dark comedy horror film called The Abominable Dr. Phibes.
The Abominable Dr. Phibes.
Now, how do you spell Phibes?
Phibes. So it could be.
Are you sure
Phibes.
it's not? Are you sure it's not Dr. Phibes?
I don't think it's Dr. Phibes. I'm
Okay,
pretty
well,
sure it's
this
Phibes.
is a hill I'm probably gonna die on, but that's
then,
okay.
when we watch the movie, we will see who is the true victor in this name battle.
Tag yourself. I'm Dr. Phibes.
I'm Phoebe.
I'm Dr. Phibes because I bring all the vibes.
Ooh.
That made me angry.
Tell us a little bit about this good Dr. Phibes.
So, The Abominable Dr. Phibes is a movie starring our dear good friend Vincent Price, personal friend of mine, friend of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Friend of
Did
the
you
show.
meet him while you were in ghost form?
Yeah, friend of the show, the deceased actor Vincent Price.
Listen, there's a lot of ghouls in this school. If you just wander the halls a little bit, you'll come across some names.
It's true.
Can we do an after school special where y'all interview me as recently deceased actor Vincent Price?
Oh my
Is
God.
it recent? Why do we add recent?
That would
I don't know.
deeply disrespectful to the real ghost of Mr. Vincent Price.
He has secretly been alive for the past 40 years, but now he's dead.
He
died,
did
like,
die
last
last
week.
year, though.
So, the film follows Dr. Anton Phibes, or Phibes, or whatever the fuck,
Right.
who blames a medical team that attended to his wife's surgery 4 years prior after they were in an accident for her death, because she didn't survive the surgery. And then he sets out to exact vengeance on all of them.
Okay.
Which sounds
Good for him.
vaguely interesting, but the weird thing is that for some reason his murder spree is inspired by the 10 plagues of Egypt from the Old Testament.
Oh, I've heard of this movie.
That fucking rips.
It has nothing to do with the movie really at all, but that's what he decides to do.
Isn't there?
Are there any musical numbers?
Honestly, let me look.
No, we shouldn't know that going in. I think we should find that out. But isn't there another Vincent Price movie? Is this like a genre where he kills a bunch of people who have wronged him using like a very specific like
House of Wax
gimmick? Yeah, House of Wax. Is that the one where he does it based on because there's one where he does it based on like Shakespeare plays, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think that's separate. I think
that's fucking sick too.
I think that's separate from House of Wax.
I think it's just kind of Vincent Price's thing. Is like categorized murder.
Yeah.
So, our protagonist is a famous concert organist, an expert in theology and music.
A famous concert organism.
Yeah. They thought that
sick.
he was killed in a car crash because his wife died during surgery and he was like racing home and he like got in a car accident. But he survived and was like horribly disfigured and remade his face with prosthetics and like...
Okay, this is also a Vincent Price thing because this is fucking House of Wax also. He's horribly disfigured.
Yeah. So then he's like, I'm going to start an elaborate scheme to kill all the people that were involved in my wife's death during surgery.
I mean, what else are you gonna do, you know?
Yeah,
He,
just
like,
kind of got bored, I guess.
wears an amulet with, like, things corresponding to each plague as he's murdering them based on that plague.
Okay, that feels like...
So metal.
That feels like he found those amulets first
so
at, like, a flea market and then was like, well...
So, the other thing of note to me is the inspector on his case. I want you guys to give me your best inspector name, because this inspector has the best name.
Okay.
Inspector Dongledoo.
Inspector Fibonacci Ducart.
I mean,
Actually-
that's pretty good.
Thank you.
Inspector Caraba.
Okay, yeah.
He then went on to found a beautiful Italian restaurant chain.
Okay, nice.
His name's Inspector Trout.
Tag yourself, Carol, as Inspector Trout.
Inspector Trout versus Professor Quibi. Who will win?
I want to read you some of the names off of the list of characters because they're all wonderful.
Yeah.
So there's
I have my pitch for what I think this movie is actually about.
Okay.
so.
Underlying the regular plot.
the thematic story.
Okay.
Yeah, the thematic story.
Yeah.
So Vincent Price is obviously Dr. Anton Phibes. There's Inspector Trout, a lady named Volnavia,
Okay.
which
Alright.
is seemingly vaguely vulgar. There's somebody named Dr. Longstreet.
Hold up. Wait, hold on. I was still on Volnavia, and then you slapped me across the face with Mr. Longstreet.
just the etymology of someone's last name being Longstreet.
Doesn't Volnavia sound like someone who wants to say something dirty but doesn't know what any of the words are, so they just
Yes.
kind of mumble it?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It sounds like a body part that doesn't exist.
Yes. Oh man, I broke my Volnavia. It's pretty good. Honestly, I feel like a lot of these are like Hideo Kojima names.
Yeah.
Cause like Hedgepath is one of the names. Like I feel
It sounds like they just went for a walk and then they noticed something and then they chose that for the
like,
name.
Oh, a pond with some trout. Oh, I'm on quite a long street and there's a hedge near my path.
Oh god, a Volnavia!
Nolan, I would love to know what you think this is about as I punch you with this last name. There's another name, Dr. Dunwoody. Anyway,
Dr. Dunwitty. Oh, no.
Dunwoody.
Yeah, Dunwoody. Thank
Dunwoody.
you very much.
Oh damn, he done Woody. So I think that this movie is actually about a man named Dr. Anthony Quibby, and it's like a Lifetime kind of thing. And he's a stuck-up doctor. He's all stressed out, kind of a Stephen Strange type, if you will.
Okay.
But instead of going and learning those good magics, he realizes he needs to change his name to Antoine Phibes or Antoine Vibes.
Okay.
And he's played by Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
And he moves to the beach and he just surfs for 3 hours and meets all kinds of classic characters in a big interconnecting story of love and discovery.
Okay. Isn't this just the movie Beach Bum?
Maybe?
I think you just described
Probably.
the entirety of the movie
mean-
Beach Bum.
That feels like just a rehashing of Beach Bum.
Guys, I
know about that. I don't know about that.
Guys, I simply must meet Anton Phibes.
All right, are you ready to meet him personally?
Can I meet Mr. Anthony Pepsi?
Wait.
Whoa.
You can't just say, "Can I eat him?" and then
I said meet him.
You said eat. You said eat,
said,
and you
"Can
know
I
you
eat?"
said
And then
eat.
he said, "Wait." Can
Well,
I
okay,
meet?
fine. Since we've brought this horse out of the barn, can I eat Mr.
No.
Anthony Pepsi?
You could have, but then you didn't trust your conviction, so now you can't.
Yeah.
Oh, I
You're
shouldn't
not
have
worthy
asked.
to eat
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Spooky Dark Spell, go!
So I would like to make a formal apology.
Matthew McConaughey was not in this movie.
I don't think that's what I'm apologizing for.
But shouldn't it be?
Well, that's what you should be apologizing for.
Well, I would like to apologize for roasting Nolan before and probably during the intro last time for saying Dr. Phibes. They do say it like that at least twice.
Okay, I will say
they
this
also-
though.
Times.
I am going to continue to call him Dr. Phibes for the sole reason that they are not sure in the movie.
Yes. Well, also
They
they,
are
call
not
him Dr.
100%
Phibes
positive.
twice.
They do.
And they call him Dr. like Phibes or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least the first time.
I'm just gonna go back to calling him Dr. Vibe.
Hell yeah.
Dr.
Dr.
That's
Vibes,
all I got. That's all
baby.
I got from him. So
Hey guys, can I just hot take just real fast? This movie is the best movie and it fucking
This
slaps.
movie rips.
Like holy shit.
This movie does
Absolutely
rip.
rip.
This is so good. Why have I never heard of this movie before?
That's the thing, is I was so confused because as I was doing research on this movie, I was realizing that, like, it's not streaming anywhere. There's hardly anybody who knows about it online. Like, the amount of IMDb reviews is, like, 0.
Yeah. It's
and
like
yet-
it's like it just got overshadowed by like I guess House of Wax or something.
Yeah,
well,
probably.
House of Wax came out way before this.
Yeah, but
so-
I mean like in like the annals of history, like it's just when you think of this kind of thing, it's
Oh
House
right,
of Wax.
the filmography of recently deceased Vincent Price.
Of course. Wait, Carol, what were you gonna say?
VP,
Recent.
VP, as I like to call him.
I'm just mad that nobody knows about this movie and the fact that, like, you know a movie's obscure when the full version remains on YouTube for more than a week. And it has stayed on YouTube for more than 2 weeks.
The two of these movies that I watched on YouTube for free were this and The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and it deeply upsets me that this is on that level.
Oh, also, Monster Scary Little Christmas was on YouTube for free.
I paid for that one. I wanted the HD.
That one deserves to be on YouTube, in my opinion.
Yeah. Town
Yo-
That Dreaded Sundown, I guess, sure. Don't remember anything about that movie, so
It's the
I
bad
guess
one.
it
It's the
belongs
worst.
on
It's,
YouTube.
it's the worst
So-
movie we've
so-
watched.
to go back to the conversation about Dr. Vibes.
Of course.
Dr. Vibes.
I'm sorry. I killed the Dr. Vibes by bringing up The Town That Dreaded Sundown. That's my bad.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, you did. You killed all the doctor vibes.
Yeah.
There's no doctors.
I feel like this movie is somehow a combination of James Bond villain,
Yeah.
the Prince of Egypt, Let's see.
Phantom of
Because
the
it involves
Opera.
Egypt literally at all.
Phantom of the Opera.
Or Phantom
yeah,
of the
Phantom
Paradise, more
Opera.
specifically, I feel.
I think both. Let's take both.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see. What else is in there?
Saw.
A little bit of Saw.
I saw at the very end.
Yep.
Dr. Doolittle.
Dr. Doolittle. One second. I had a little
Brian,
list. I had a
explain
list.
Dr. Doolittle.
He uses
immediately.
his fun animal friends for adventures.
Yes, Dr. Doolittle starring
Sure.
Robert Downey Jr.
Of course.
Dr. Doolittle, famous for murdering people with bats and locusts and rats.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
This movie is some mixture of James Bond plus Prince of Egypt plus Frankenstein plus The Great Gatsby.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Interesting.
You see a little bit
Where's
of the
the
Gatsby
Gatsby?
energy in there?
Where's the
I
Gatsby?
feel like it's the jazz interludes that we
Yeah.
have. You know, these big jazzy interludes. You know, you got to have those jazzy interludes.
It's a very jazzy film, for sure.
I mean, this man has a whole band that he has constructed ostensibly to play for himself when he feels like
feel
doing
like-
villain stuff.
Wait, what an excellent segue to describe the start of this film.
Yes, okay.
Well,
let me
one more thing. One more
attempt.
thing. One more thing.
I want to talk about
I-
Dr. Phibes.
No,
I feel like this film is the free jazz equivalent of screenwriting. That's what I think this movie is.
It's slam poetry, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, slam
They just
poetry
let
horror
Vincent
movie.
Price on set and said, "Go, have fun,
Yeah.
Can I
play,
bring my
play in the
masks?
space. Why don't you?"
Can I bring my
Explore.
masks that are simply my own face?
So, the beginning of this movie. So, I have my notes open and I'm literally just like, this doesn't make sense. And it won't make sense. It's something you have to see to believe, honestly.
Yeah.
There is a man in glossy black robes that emerges from the floor with a red
Goodness, they are
organ.
shiny.
Yeah.
Is
They are
very
so
shiny,
shiny.
is very slick. He emerges from the floor playing this gorgeous red paneled organ.
Yeah.
And he is shredding.
He's
I
just
would say
shredding.
he's
shredding
shredding
over these
Red
opening
Noel.
credits.
In general, there are a lot of instruments played in this film, and they
Yes.
are all aggressively not being played.
Yes.
Like, he's
Absolutely.
flinging his arms around, like he's not even remotely playing the song
I
that's
just want
playing.
to point out. I just want to point out that I directly asked if there were going to be musical numbers in this movie,
You did. You did. You nailed it.
and I was disrespected for it,
Valid.
as I am often disrespected.
So the song finishes.
Right.
And then we see that, like, we're in a room, this chamber with steps and life-size wind-up musician-y automaton boys.
A place
on either side of him.
where the Joker may duel the Batman, perhaps.
Yeah.
Right.
So he like starts cranking up the boys. Which is a bad sentence that I
You
just
love
said.
it when you got to crank up the
I'm
boys.
so sorry.
He has a bunch of automatons, crudely made automatons that play instruments to form like a big band.
Like a big band
Yeah.
type.
They're
type
like
shit.
there's like they're big like paper mache heads on them. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan.
What are they called? The clockwork somethings?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Dr. Vibes. It's Dr. Vibes Clockwork Band, something like
Something
that.
like that, yeah.
Clockwork Wizards.
Clockwork, yeah.
Wonder what that
So
means.
they start playing a waltz, and then like this young like fashion lady comes in, and she's wearing like this white poofy feather looking dress with like this gold headdress that I'm obsessed with.
It's really
And
cool.
They
her
start
name is
dancing.
like Vulva Navel. Something
This is
like
Vol-
that.
Volnavia, I think.
This is Vulva Navel, named after two often forgot about body parts, honestly.
Yeah, we were
Anyway.
questioning who was going to be this character earlier, and it's her.
It's her. Is Dr. Vibes... I can't stop saying it now.
You should.
It's Dr... I can't...
No, I mean,
God.
you should
Do it.
say it. You should say it.
It's Dr.
Yeah.
Vibes is...
That's his name.
Shut up. It's his assistant. She doesn't talk. She just stands there looking very model-esque and looks beautiful and helps him out with some stuff, I guess.
Yeah. And she plays the violin very well. Good for her.
They grab a bird cage. He lowers the cage through a square in the floor. And then, like, it's the guy's window, I guess. I don't know. We're in the bedroom of a wealthy guy. He's just, like, asleep. And then his ceiling window opens, and a birdcage drops down. And then, like, bats start happening.
There are bats up in there.
You described that in the most unintelligible way I have ever.
Listen,
Yeah,
my
I
notes
didn't
are also
understand that at all.
unintelligible.
I saw the movie and I did not understand what you
Yeah.
were saying.
You explained it so weirdly that I don't remember the scene anymore.
It was like you were describing a half-remembered nightmare that you
Yeah, I mean,
experienced.
I am.
Basically, Dr. Phibes lowers a
He puts some
cage
bats
full
in a
of
guy's
bats,
room.
yeah, into a dude's room, and the bats like bite him to death or whatever.
They like scratch at his face until he bleeds and he dies.
They try to make the bats seem very scary. Like they have all these
They're
like
so
quick
cute.
close-ups and stuff of them like crawling on him and stuff. They are fucking adorable.
They
They are
are
so
so
cute.
really,
cute.
Their
really
little
sweet.
Their little
bats.
tongues are like.
They look like dogs. Like they
so
have
good.
dog faces.
They have
I'm
such
like,
kind
oh,
eyes.
I just want to pet this little guy.
Yeah.
And then like when the inspector detective comes in the morning, he's like, bats. Oh, like so scary. And I'm like, dude, they're
Yeah.
so cute.
Is this our first introduction to
Inspector Trout?
Inspective Trout,
Yeah.
Yes.
Our
it
Inspector
is.
Trout, our hero, maybe, sort of.
who looks like a trout?
He does look
looks
like a trout.
I think,
Very Kojima-esque naming conventions here.
and this is also where they bring up that previously this guy who was killed was a doctor, and previously another doctor was killed using bees.
Yes. There
Just
was
a
a man
fuck ton of bees.
who was killed with bees.
Yeah.
This really is an in medias res. They threw us in on the second killing.
Yeah, yeah. This is also kind of where I started to realize, because I think a lot of times these movies have very strong, bombastic openings. A Dracula AD feels like a good example of this.
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, they come at you real hard, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a good time. And then as soon as we get
And
to
then
the
nothing
investigators, you're like, oh, this is boring as shit. This movie
Right.
is never ever boring.
It's so fast.
Its pacing never slows down in a bad way. The inspectors are fun and funny. I was legitimately entertained by all of these like police officers and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I
agree.
I laughed multiple times at their banter. It was very
Yeah.
good. It's very
I
British
wouldn't-
also.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say it is a bombastic intro. Though I would say it's like somewhere between a sultry, jazzy bat
Yeah.
murder intro.
Yeah. It's a classic
You know,
bat
that old
murder
trope.
intro.
the sultry, jazzy bat murder trope.
Of course.
My favorite.
It's my favorite. So we have this guy whose name is Dr. Pepsi, and he had a lady in his life that is no longer in his life because she is no longer alive. And
Yep, that'll happen.
she died. That'll happen. She died in a surgery, and now he is killing all the doctors that were involved in her surgery. And
And
there happens
nurses.
to be 9 of and nurses.
Yeah.
And there happened to be 9 of them. And he decided to do that via plague.
The 10
method?
plagues of Egypt.
Yeah.
From the
Yeah.
Old Testament.
And he
But
also
he uses the 10th plague for himself.
which is actually kind of a beautiful ending,
I mean, I
gotta
saw
say.
it coming,
No,
but I
don't
was
say
still
that.
very...
I'll say it's
pleased
beautiful.
with how it
I
happened.
thought it was very pretty.
Yeah.
I think, look,
Like beautiful emotionally or pretty?
oh no, like visually.
It was
Okay.
very theatrical in a really cool way.
No, yeah, I mean, it's, the emotional beats in this aren't, they're not, you're not gonna weep at this film.
He wants to be the Phantom of the Opera so bad.
He does.
Yeah.
He desperately does. The whole movie takes place in this room that I cannot parse for the life of me. It is like a theater without seats, but also a glass floor that has another room underneath it, and like the organ goes down into another room. And
Gosh, this sounds like a Flaming Lips song.
yeah. He also has like this table that lives behind a curtain that is also a mural that has wax busts of every single one of the doctors he wants to murder with
All of
an
his life is
amulet
very
around each
symbolic.
of their necks.
Yeah, and then he burns them up with a blowtorch every time he kills one of them.
Yeah, it kind of slaps. It's kind of
Pretty good.
His whole life is just really symbolic and expensive. It's expensive.
Incredibly
This is a very
expensive.
expensive lifestyle.
Also, last thing we have to mention about him
Right.
is that he was in some horrible accident, got his face burned off. So he has a fake face, but he can't like open his mouth. So he has to like attach himself to a phonograph to make sounds.
Using
And that's
his
how he talks.
vast, he in his own words, I think, using my
His vast knowledge of
vast
acoustics.
knowledge of acoustics.
Yes.
He really just like takes a guitar cable and shoves it down his throat.
Yeah. He also drinks out of his throat, and the sips are my favorite.
There is a moment where he drinks cabbage juice through the hole in his
Brussels sprout juice, thank you.
Oh, sorry,
There's-
Brussels sprout
there's-
juice. Sorry.
There's 3 minutes of this movie dedicated to him making Brussels sprout juice with his assistant.
Yes.
Yeah, I think at this point, if we listen,
Let's hit
audience,
these plagues.
if
I'm just gonna hit these plagues.
Yeah, if we went through every moment of this film in chronological order, this podcast would be 4 hours long.
It's too good.
Even though
It's
the
too
movie is
good.
90 minutes, this would be 4 hours long. So let's just go through shit that's cool. Here's one
It's
from me.
on YouTube, and you should watch it before we spoil literally everything because
Yes.
it's pretty good.
This is the first one I think you should watch. No.
No, there's
Okay,
other
no,
ones
there's
that
others.
we
There's
said
others. But, no, okay. When Dr. Vibes is carting his wheelbarrow of Brussels sprouts to make his Brussels sprout juice, he walks past his assistant, who literally jims the camera. Like, he
Yep. Yeah,
walks
she
past,
does.
she
She
looks
does.
at that, and then looks at the camera like,
It's
I
just
appreciated
a
it.
regular day in the office with Dr. Vibes. That got
Vibes,
his
man.
wheelbarrow of Brussels sprouts.
So, first plague, already did it. Bads clawed the man's face off.
yeah.
Second plague that happens is
Or I guess third, because of the bees. The off-screen bees.
the bees actually weren't part of his thing. Like, it was a different thing.
Wait, what?
Are you
no, that
telling
was-
me? Oh, no. Are
Bees
you
aren't part
telling
of the
me
10
that?
plagues of Egypt.
Right, but are you telling me that one of the doctors was murdered by bees and it wasn't by Dr.
Yeah,
Vibes'
what
hand?
are you saying?
Let
I
me
knew
just look
that
up.
they weren't one of the plagues. But
Pause the thing. I'm gonna look in
I'm pretty
the
sure- I thought it
IMDb
was-
synopsis.
I'm pretty
I don't
sure
know,
it
I
was
spent-
Dr.
I was-
Vibes.
I also grew up in the church, and I feel like it was 9 plagues. But maybe I'm just I was just bad at being a Christian.
You were the plague of boils.
Yeah.
Plague of boils.
Goyles.
So he kind of had to
Boils.
he kind of had to like sort of shoots and ladders it a little
Yeah,
bit.
Yeah.
I was like,
Couldn't
there's
just
no
give
plague of
everybody
bees in the
boils.
10 plagues of Egypt. But he used bee stings to do the plague of boils.
Right.
And then
I
he
see,
did
yeah.
the bats. And now he's fucking... What
was
Is
the
it
river
frog?
of blood?
Frog time?
Yes, it's frog time.
Frog time?
Frog time. So it's fucking frog time, baby. They're all at a party. It's apparently like a masquerade party.
Yeah.
And this guy is like, all right, I'm going to put on, I don't have a mask. I'm going to put on this frog head. And Dr. Phibes helps him get in there.
Yeah.
And like, there's these wheels on the back with this locking mechanism that slowly turn and like tighten the mask until it like explodes the man's head within the mask.
It's so good. And he's just wandering up this really long flight of stairs
And, like,
in his frog
screaming.
mask like
And everybody's like, what do we do? Like, this was the
You know my
point in the
favorite
movie
thing
that I was
about
like,
it,
this
though?
movie is not fucking around, like,
Right.
at all.
What's
My
your favorite thing about it?
My favorite thing about it is that the guy, when he has the frog mask on, before he like falls over and he dies, he looks like Caro.
I mean, he's definitely their Patronus for sure.
Yeah.
It's just a glittery frog
It's
in
just
a
a
suit.
glittery frog, which is honestly everything I've ever wanted to be, so thanks.
He also,
Yeah.
There's a moment like when he first gets the mask on, and he's like, "Now point me toward the women," and then
Yes. And Dr. Vibes, like, spins him around, like, pinata style.
Like,
and,
he
pushes
really
him
thinks
towards the women.
that this gilded frog mask is gonna get him laid. I guess.
Nothing works better for the ladies than a bejeweled frog mask.
It's true. I mean,
And
it
I will
would work
say,
for me, for sure.
This whole time, Dr. Phibes doesn't say anything.
No.
That's how I got my first and seventh girlfriend.
A big gap there, but it circled back around.
Yeah, I kept trying. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't the. Okay, never mind. Anyway.
There's a line he says during that. This is the last thing I'll say about the frog thing. But there's a line he says, like, where he's like, "Oh, I didn't realize this was a costume party," before he gets the frog mask on, which explains why he has to be given a mask, like by Phibes, which is like the booby trapped mask. But that means one of two things. One, he's an idiot, and Dr. Phibes just planned on that, or he fucked up the invitation that this guy received.
Right.
Make
How
it
does
so...
he know? How does he know that this guy's gonna show up without a mask?
Right.
How's he gonna get the frog mask if the guy doesn't? What if he showed up dressed as a bear? Then
Exactly.
What are you gonna do?
What I was hoping was that it wasn't a costume party, and he just comes in with this gilded frog head, and everyone else is normal.
Yes, absolutely. I love the gilded frog head. I want like an exact replica that I can have, but not an exact replica because that will kill me.
That is fair, but I mean, what a way to go.
Honestly, yeah.
Honestly, you could
I'm into
probably
it.
make that in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
What was
Give
the plague
Give
after?
me some glitter and some hot glue. I got it.
What was the plague after frog?
Plague after frog is hail. No, blood
Oh, first is blood.
is blood.
Right.
So
Okay.
this is where Dr. Longstreet is watching a snake charmer movie alone in his home
Holy shit, man!
on a
Is this what?
projector.
As you do.
Is this what porn used to be
I don't
in whatever
know, but I don't
era
wanna
this
think
is?
about it.
It's just a
I
man
think it
turning
was.
a hand crank, like projecting a snake charmer lady, and he's just losing his mind watching this.
Is that
Well, that's how they figured out how to masturbate is by doing the hand crank. motion.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. That's history.
is that where the term cranking it comes from?
I don't think that's a term. I
no.
don't think I've ever really heard that.
No, I've heard that.
Or-
I've
I've heard
heard
it
that,
before.
and I guarantee
Is that
that
where-
is where it comes from.
Is that where that crank that soldier boy comes? Sorry, crank
Yes.
that soldier boy comes from.
Soldier boy.
Crank that snake lady. The original.
Boy.
So, we see him like just kind of chilling, and then Phibes' assistant, whatever her name is,
Volnavia.
Volnavia.
How
Orange.
dare you?
Naval Orange appears behind the screen and is like, "Oh hey," and is like seducing him, and then Dr. Phibes shows up and like stabs him in the arm, like puts him down in a chair, to which this guy is still into it.
He's cool with it. He's like, oh, who's this?
He's like, "Oh, we're getting a little freaky here, okay."
Yeah.
And then he gets a giant needle in his arm and is drained of all of his blood.
Also, did we skip over the scene where Inspector Trout is going to see?
Yes.
Okay, this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Inspector Trout goes to because Adam. Oh no, it's actually right after this because the blood thing
is it
happens.
The
and
guy
then-
who goes to the rabbi?
Right. Yeah. So at the scene of the blood murder, an amulet was left behind with like a 7 like engraved on it or whatever. Or no, it's like actually a Hebrew
symbol for blood.
Right, Hebrew symbol for blood. And so the Inspector Trout finds it, and he goes to this like jeweler, like craftsman guy, who is
so
the
good.
most fun, like single appearance, like single scene character I've ever seen.
Oh, he's my favorite.
It's just this like, I can't even do an impression of what this guy was like. Like, doesn't
He
even
was just perfect.
yeah, he's like there's a lot of like great lines. I'm trying to remember. Like there's one where the guy, well, for one thing, the inspector like brings up the necklace. He's like, somebody left this necklace. Who could it be? And then it cuts to Dr. Phibes back home, noticing that he doesn't have his necklace
Just like
on.
touching his chest, like, "Oh fuck, where'd
He's
it
like,
go?"
Shit, and then it cuts back to the
But
conversation.
also, like, if you lived where? Okay, number one, what city do y'all? Where's the?
They're in
set?
London.
London, yeah.
Okay, they're in London. Yeah, I figured it was London. If you walked around London with that amulet, there's only one person that lives in London that would own that, and it's definitely Dr. Pepsi.
Yeah, it's definitely Phantom of the Pepsi for sure.
Yeah, like if you were an investigator walking around with an amulet, you'd see him and you'd be like, that guy over there with the mask of his own face.
But this jeweler, like there's one exchange where the jeweler reveals that there are actually 7 of these, or 9, actually 9. Sorry, it's 9, right? Like to correspond with the plagues. And so
There's
reveals
9 of them, but he never made the 10th of the set.
Right. So he reveals that he made 9 of them, and the inspector is like, "Oh, so there are 9 exactly alike?" And he's like, "No, why would you want 9 of the same thing? They're all what?" It's just, like it's all these
set.
little. It's a set. Like, why would you have? It's all these little moments. There's a bit where, as the inspector's leaving, the jeweler remembers something, and he calls him back like a dog. He's like, psst, psst, psst.
It's so good. This old jeweler man is perfect. I love him with every ounce of my being.
Absolutely.
Can we spend some time talking about Dr. Peanut Butter's mask?
Oh yeah.
It's just Vincent Price.
It's
wearing
Vincent
a lot
Price.
of foundation.
Yeah, with some weird makeup and like goop, like stuff on him. It's very funny, and I like it a lot.
It feels like they put they had Vincent Price, and then they put the disfigured mask on Vincent Price, and then they made a Vincent Price mask and put that on the disfigured mask.
He does have some very fake like sideburns that are gross to
so
look at.
what they did was that they put liquid latex over his actual face and covered it with foundation so that it looked like really weird and cakey and it moved incorrectly.
Yeah.
And then for the part where he like takes off the mask, it's literally just a cut. You can see it, and then he's like, "Here's my face."
Another question.
Yes.
How does Vulva get involved? How did she get hooked up with Dr.
I thought
I
thought the entire time that she was going to be revealed to be a robot, like the Clockwork Band and stuff.
It would make a lot of sense.
But there's a moment at the end of the film where some acid shoots down from the ceiling, and she gets like hit in the face with the acid and like is like screams and like falls over. I really thought we were gonna get a shot where we saw that she was just like clockwork stuff inside, but no, she's just some intern.
They never show her face after that. They're just
but I feel like we would have been shown like she's a robot. Like,
they're like, well, better call an ambulance.
But like, was she doing this for like college credit? How did this arrangement happen?
I don't know. Poor thing.
There is a sequel, and maybe Volnavia. There's a sequel.
I can't believe her name isn't Abominable, because that's what I keep reading it as.
That's what it should be. There's a sequel called Dr. Vibes Rises.
Ooh.
What? Amazing.
And I imagine that's when Dr. Vibes, portrayed by Matthew McConaughey, goes back to his original surgeon life.
He raises the vibes.
He's super dead at the end of the movie, though.
Yeah.
We literally see him drain all of his blood out and replace it with embalming fluid.
I mean, you can't really get any more dead than that.
This is a universe where you can plug a guitar cable into your neck, and then your thoughts come through as a voice.
Well, humans not his thoughts. He actually does like move his throat as if he's speaking, and it just picks up the resonance of his vocal cords.
Humans are basically USB cables.
It's acoustics.
Remember the guy who's in the plane, who gets the plague of rats? He's a guy who's
talk about this scene. Yeah.
I don't know if that's the next one. No,
it's not. There's the hail before it, right? Mm-hmm. We can talk about hail real quick. It's pretty funny.
So the hail one I actually enjoyed greatly.
Yeah.
Because I was live texting Brian because Nolan watched it at a different time than us. Spoiler alert. And I was just like, I don't know what this one is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Oh my God, is it hail? Oh, it's hail. Oh, it's hail.
So go through how this works.
Okay. So honestly, I don't remember how we got here, but we're on the side of the road.
Yeah. They stop because Volnavia pretends to have car trouble. So the doctor stops to help.
So they get the doctor that they want to murder to stop and help them on the side of the road. Just all of my notes on this make literally no sense.
I think I can describe it.
All right.
So the doctor's driver gets out of the car to go and help the woman, Volnavia. And when he goes over there, Dr. Vibes appears behind him and like does like
Bonks
the
him.
Spock neck pinch thing.
Yeah.
That just like crumples him. I thought he was dead. He's actually not. We learned
not.
later that he was in shock. I think it's interesting that Dr. Phibes never murders anyone outside of.
Well,
He
'cause
goes
think of-
to lengths to not kill anyone outside of the other doctors.
Think of why he's
Yeah.
murdering. It's vengeance. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
he has
Well,
nothing
he
to
does
do with this guy.
because he's even we'll put a pin in the final plague and to talk about that a little bit more. But so Vulcan neck pinches the driver and then pulls out this like massive like silver box that's got
Looney
a
Tunes
big
ass machine.
yeah, it's a Looney Tunes machine. It's a big honking tube on the end of it, and he like carries it over to the car, and essentially then we cut to the future, and the
Yeah.
inspectors have arrived, and they open up the car door, and it's just a block of just the man is just an
yeah,
ice
yeah.
man. He is
ice.
coated in ice. They turn the machine back on and see it just pelting this man with
Just
snow.
pelting his dead body with ice.
That's how
But
you
basically
freeze
what
things,
it did
y'all.
was they had like the AC of the car
Yeah.
blow into this thing that could make it negative 100 degrees,
Incredible.
and then it used that power to blow ice at this man until he died.
Yeah, ideal.
Man. Do y'all feel like, on a general note, that the 10 plagues thing is a little bit arbitrary to
Yes.
the situation?
He's not even
Absolutely.
Jewish. He's Dr. Phibes.
He's just
He's
doing
Dr.
it
Vibes.
for the theatrics of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just
He
knows
also-
that he can get a cool ending out of it.
Yeah.
On the note of him killing people and like not killing anyone outside of that, he does like say that thing at the end where he's like, "I have killed 9 and I will kill no more, no less."
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting because I really want to talk about that. We'll talk about that ending bit because I do think it's pretty clever how he talks about killing 9 and everything. But so then we've got the plane.
Well, first,
plague,
the only
right?
important scene that's in between all
Yeah.
of the plagues is that we see Dr. Vesalius, who is playing chess with his son.
Yes, right.
And we're all like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
fuck.
Right, because-
when we talked to the rabbi earlier, one of the plagues he said is death of the firstborn. And we're all like, okay, what? And then we see this man with his child, and I'm like, oh, so that firstborn.
Right. And the inspectors don't
Yeah.
catch on to that for a long
For
time.
too long.
Such
until
a
it's
long time.
ostensibly too late.
Yeah.
British police are useless.
They go very slow.
Was anybody else? I know, Carol. I think you and I were both put into a hypnotic trance by the sequence with this rat plague. Where
Yes, okay. I didn't take a
Yeah.
single note.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. The
Here's what
sequence
happened.
goes on for so long.
So one of the doctors is a pilot, and he is rolling his plane out to take off. And he is. Are you piloting the plane before it takes off? He's wheeling it. He's driving it forward.
Yes, you're piloting the plane. Jesus.
I just mean like it sounds weird to say he's piloting it. He's on the ground and he's rolling it
It's
along.
called taxiing. It's
He's
called
taxiing. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't have a driver's license. He's taxiing. He's taxiing, and one of the cops is driving after him to try to get him to not take off because he knows that something with the plagues is going to happen. And he's speeding after him, and the plane just keeps going, and the car just keeps going, and the plane just keeps going, and the car just keeps going, and it goes on for a very long time.
It does.
It's not boring, but it does hypnotize you.
And also, so like then Dr. Vibes and Vulva Navel are
Yeah.
out like in the field, like watching it all go down, and
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like shredding. She's just like shredding on a white violin for some reason.
Yep.
Hell yeah, dude. She's
kinda
maybe that's
slaps.
what her internship is.
You know what I just
It's a violin internship.
realized?
What?
You know, this is a big realization I just had. This movie definitely inspired Seven.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Like definitely inspired Seven.
Yo.
I wonder
You
if
gotta-
there's any interviews with him talking about it.
You got a killer who's killing based on religious symbolism,
Yeah.
and the last kill, one of the last kills involves him making sure he dies.
That's crazy. Dr. Phibes cinema history, man.
Hell yeah,
Anyway.
baby.
Anyway,
Wow.
the pilot, there's a bunch of rats in his plane, and then he crashes the plane.
Yeah. The rats start like biting him and chewing on him and hurting him, and he's like, "Ah, fuck!" And then the plane crashes and he dies.
which
It
is
feels
instance
like-
number 2. It is instance number 2 of they try to make animals scary by doing very fast close-ups of them and stuff, but they're just very cute.
They're very cute.
It feels like he should have been able to save himself.
Yeah.
Just chuck
does.
those little boys out the window.
Or
I
just
know they're cute, but
yeah, it's amazing how many things had to happen right for Dr. Phibes in order for this one to land.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Aha. For it not to land.
it's not quite as happenstance as the frog murder,
Right.
But it is still
It's-
like a lot of things needed to fall in place.
It's
for him.
also not as happenstance as literally the next one I'm going to talk about.
Yeah. Though we do also find out that the car that this one cop was driving like a madman and ruined the car belonged to the like chief inspector or whatever, who's just this small shouty man who
Oh
I
yeah,
like
he's like, "Why
so
you in my
much,
car?"
who also has
I
my
liked
favorite
that
line
scene.
in the
That's-
entire movie. But we'll get there.
What is okay? So Dr. Trout, Inspector Trout, and his friend, I think his name's like Shenley or something.
It's long. Is it Longstreet?
No, that's one of the doctors that dies.
Oh, that was one of the doctors. Okay.
Short
So
Street.
Trout and Short Street are with Dr. Whitcomb, who is like who they were like, oh, he's probably the next target, so let's get ahead of the jump here.
Yeah.
And they're escorting him out. He's like, why are you removing for my patients for this amount of time? And then he's like, oh, you guys are actually kind of like treating me like a king here, so maybe I should shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And he, like, one of them takes his bag, they open the doors, and they hear, like, this whoosh, and a brass unicorn pierces him directly through the torso,
Yep.
killing him instantly, nailing
Pretty sick.
him
This-
to a freestanding wooden wall.
And nailing him in to the extent that they have to spin the body in order to like get him off of the
Yes,
wall.
because of
And
the twist
this
of the
scene has-
unicorn.
This has my favorite line in the whole movie.
Wait. Is it the scene that follows this? Because it's my favorite line too.
It's the scene where they're removing the.
Oh
When
no,
they
okay, no,
just
go ahead.
removed-
Go ahead.
Okay, so they've just removed this brass unicorn head. Number one, they're very surprised that he cast the unicorn in brass, but they one of
Oh,
the
brass!
one of the detectives says, "It appears to have been shot from a catapult, sir."
And they're in the middle of London, like when this happens. And okay, that is followed by my favorite line in the entire movie, which is when the shouty head inspector guy is yelling about how could they have let this happen again to another doctor? And he says this exact line. I've written it out. He says, and I want this on my tombstone. A brass unicorn has been catapulted across a London street and impaled an eminent surgeon. Words fail me, gentlemen. Which is also
honestly,
followed
same.
by something very good where Trout then like starts to leave and he's like, "Where are you off to, Trout?" And Trout goes, "The lavatory, sir." And he says, "Highly appropriate," and then walks off.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like, this movie's fucking funny sometimes.
It's
I
really
like
funny.
it. So then here we have our interlude before the big ones, where Phibes is like sitting with the pictures of his deceased wife, and he's like
There's
talking.
a couple of these interludes.
There's I think
Yeah.
3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, but this is the big one where he's
Yeah.
talking to her and he plugs himself into the phonograph and he's like, I love you so much. I am acting out vengeance for your unjust murder, and within the next 24 hours, we will be rejoined together.
Yeah.
Basically saying he's gonna finish the rest of the murders and then kill himself. And we're like, got it. Sounds like a plan.
Another question. I might have missed this in the movie. Is it ever articulated whether or not, like, the surgery that his lady friend died in, is it articulated that, like, there was actual doctor malpractice, or did the surgery just not go well?
It's actually
it was after a car crash.
Yeah. It seems pretty. It's not definitive that the doctors didn't do anything wrong, but it seems pretty heavily implied that they didn't
do anything wrong.
Can we talk about slime death? Is that what's
slime
next?
death is next, baby.
Yeah.
So literally, we cut to a pot of Brussels sprouts. There's like Brussels sprouts coming from a tube from the ceiling.
Hell yeah,
and I was like,
fucking sick.
I texted Brian and I said, "What the fuck is with these fucking Brussels sprouts? I'm gonna lose my mind." Oh my god.
So, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, there's so many things here. I'll go through them as fast as I can because I have so many thoughts. One, I love this fact that so the head doctor is also there, like the last doctor, the one who has the son, and he and the nurse, who's the target this time, go into the elevator, and like this place is totally sorry, go ahead.
After they're cooking the Brussels sprouts, we cut to the hospital that they're like basically locking off with guards so that this nurse doesn't get got by Dr. Phibes.
And they get in the elevator. The head doctor is explaining to the nurse that someone's going to try and murder her. Weird that nobody's explained it to her up to this point.
Yeah,
like the place is completely under lockdown.
She's like, but why?
And then they just don't tell her.
Yeah.
So they're talking and like having conversation, and behind them in the elevator is Dr. Phibes in like, I think he's in like a janitor outfit or something.
Yep.
And he's just got his back turned to them, and he's just staring at the wall.
He's just playing like he's the elevator operator, but like,
I guess, but he's not doing anything.
Here's the thing. If you saw that man, no matter where you were, if you were a detective investigating a case and you saw that man anywhere, you would be like, that's him. That's the culprit. I don't care if there's any evidence. That's the guy that did it.
Shoot him, kill him now.
His face.
Yeah, and the doctor even like looks at him and then like keeps talking. He's just, no, that's the fucking guy.
Like,
that's the guy.
Can you not tell by his weird fucking sullen face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Dr. Phibes,
he
when
brings
he does,
his goo of Brussels sprouts upstairs.
Yeah. And he places a big plastic sheet with the outline of a naked woman drawn on it.
Yep.
And he
proportionally, I guess.
He positions it in the same, and then like he like drills a hole into that face, and then once the hole is drilled, you see that down in the room below, it's aligned to the nurse who's asleep.
Yes. So the nurse has like guards outside of her room. They've instructed her to take sleeping pills.
All women are the exact same height and proportions.
Of course.
Precisely. That's why I'm not a woman. Anyway. So they told her to take sleeping pills because she was like, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep now because somebody's going to try to fucking murder me. They tell her to take sleeping pills. She takes sleeping pills. She's fucking knocked out. There's nobody in guard in her room. And there's only guards standing outside. So, and he's already in the hospital. So, oops.
And
so
then
he puts a tube down.
They really goofed that one.
Well, they're about to goop it.
He puts that tube down. And look, guys, I know that the plague of locusts is one of the plagues. I know that. But I still wasn't ready for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first you just get the slime.
You just get that sweet... I was lulled into a false sense of security by that sweet, sweet slime.
I texted Brian, plague of slime, question mark.
Yeah, because he has this whole tube thing set up where the slime, it goes down the tube, and it just starts like...
It's like Brussels
dousing
sprout
her with
concentrate.
The slime. Yeah, it's so things that this movie has influenced. 1, 7, 2, the Kids' Choice Awards, because it's just all of this green slime that is just like
Nickelodeon slime specifically.
Yeah, it's like covering her face, and then he brings out a different container that's full of locusts. And then he puts the locusts in the tube.
He attaches the tube from the slime to the locusts, and the locusts are like, cruciferous slime.
They were so real. I didn't like it.
I think
like
they were
a good
real.
Brussels sprout slime.
They made
and then
horrible noises.
They go down there, and he's got to like push them down there, like they don't even want to move. And then like they start, they eat her.
My face itches thinking about it.
I don't like it at all.
Like seeing the aftermath of this one, it is actually like genuinely unsettling. Her like the remnants of her face post.
Yeah. So it's like
This had
they've
a similar-
eaten through her entire face. You see her skull, and like her hair is still there, and like all the parts, like her hand that was also covered in the goo is like eaten away.
This had a similar
Get
vibe.
those sleeping pills. is my
Powerful sleeping pills. This had a similar vibe to me as Halloween 3.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah,
horrifying
I thought about that.
like face thing with the creatures crawling out of it. Ugh. But anyway, then we can move on from that.
So, Dr. Vesalius is sitting in
That's
the
the head
waiting
doctor.
room with Inspector Trout, and they're talking while ostensibly they're guarding this nurse.
Yeah, quote unquote.
And they're talking about the last two plagues. They're like, okay, so death of the firstborn and darkness. And they're joking like, oh, darkness must be for you, Inspector Trout. And he's like, ha ha ha. But they're like talking about Dr. Vesalius, and he's like, well, I'm not the firstborn. My older brother's dead, actually. And then Dr. Trout says, well, what about your firstborn? He sprints to the guards and says, send men to his house immediately.
Why aren't there already men at his house? He's already a
Right.
target. There's a
He's
kid
already
living
a
there.
target.
Right.
So they all get there. His son is gone.
Yeah.
They're freaking out. Then they get a phone call.
Which I
And-
guess we're left to assume that Volnavia has taken the child because he's
Yes.
been at the hospital. He's been doing
Yes.
Brussels sprout locust work.
He has been taken probably most likely by Wolvenable. Anyway, so then there's a phone call, and Dr. Vesalius answers the phone. To a shredding organ, baby.
It's just
Maybe. Man, he is
it's
playing.
just Phibes like nailing that organ.
He's
like, it's
having
beautiful.
a great time just fucking playing. And then,
Hey, if it's gonna be your last,
Hey,
might as well
you
go
better
out.
make it your best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vesalius, it's actually not his last. Anyway, Vesalius is like, Phibes,
Next to last.
Phibes, I need to speak with you. And he's like, I have killed 9. Well, I have killed 8. I will soon kill 9.
Right.
And then this will all be over. The dues will be paid. You know, it's Vincent Price doing a robot voice. It kind of slaps.
Also, minor detail, but Vincent Price took the time to put a picture of his dead wife on his phone. Like,
Yes.
on the, like, center of his phone.
On, like, this part that spins on, like, an old rotary phone. It's
Yeah,
very good.
pretty great.
One other thing about this, he also is banking on the fact that Dr. Vesalius is going to come and is going to somehow end up there that night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
he's
he
going to knock
says-
out a cop.
He calls Dr. Vesalius, all this happens, and he's like, well, I have your son. If you want to save him, you must come to this big house in this square where you hear loud organ playing. I will play until midnight. And then you must come alone or else. And the Inspector Trout's on the other side of the room on another one of the phones listening in on the conversation. So then they hang up the phone. Dr. Vesalius is like, I'm going. And Trout's like, no, the fuck you're not. Like, no, you can't go alone. You're insane. And they were like talking about what to do. And Vesalius is like, they might like offer me to trade my life for his. So I have to go. And Trout's like, absolutely not. I literally can't let you do that, like legally. So he's like, can I at least make a phone call first? I love this part.
Yeah.
Vesalius picks up the phone. Trout's standing like off to the side of him, and then he just like beats him in the back of the head with a phone and knocks him out, and goes off.
And the most like appropriate fall for a man named Trout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fish-like.
He flops to the ground like a dead fish.
Here's where we get into Saw Trap vibes.
Yeah, here's where Saw comes in.
Um,
Literally, very literally.
Like, it starts to feel like you would have needed some, like, permits to make this work. Like,
So,
yeah.
basically what it is Dr. Phibes has planted a key inside of the body of
His
Dr.
son.
Vasilius' son. And he's also got him hooked up. He's got him, like, clamped down in this one spot so that above him, once Dr. Phibes activates it, acid will begin to, like, come down the
Creep
tubes.
down this tube.
And
But it takes
after
6 minutes exactly because
6
that's how
minutes
long it took for
exactly.
them to murder his wife.
Right.
this is where the James Bond villain part comes in, I think.
Yeah, or a Batman villain too. The acid
That
will
too,
fall on the child's face, and once that happens, it will disfigure him to look exactly like Dr. Phibes looks under his mask, and that's when we see Dr. Phibes under his mask.
And he
which
reveals
is just
it. It's great.
absurd.
It's like fucking what's his face? The like Red Skull boy.
Red Skull?
Red Skull? Yeah, his name is just Red Skull.
Listen, I'm not a nerd like y'all.
Wait,
he looks
side
like
note,
Red
can I
Skull.
tell you something really quickly that's really funny?
Okay.
Yeah.
There is an Avengers cartoon that Red Skull is in, and there's this government agency that they're involved in this Avengers cartoon, and it's run by this guy named Del Rusk, and it's Red Skull.
Jesus.
Thank you. That is a
Anyway,
valuable contribution.
We're full circle to
appreciate
Johnny Alucard, baby.
that. It's true,
Hell
always.
yeah. So Dr. Vasilius here is like pleading with Dr. Phibes and is like, dude, I don't this is impossible. I didn't kill your wife. Like, we tried our best. We were trying to save her. And then they're fighting. And eventually he says this really dope line where he's like, your wife, no, but Phibes, you, I will kill. But then Phibes says, you can't, doctor. I am already dead.
Yeah, which patently not true, but
Well,
yeah.
it's honestly mostly true. His face is dead. There's a lot of necrotic tissue on there.
His face dead as hell. That's fair.
So
But he ain't got that embalming fluid in him yet.
Yeah.
they start the contraption and he's trying to surgery
To get the key out so that
to
he can
get the key
unlock
out
the
to move
restraints so that he can move his son.
so he can not get burned to death with acid. Anyway, then Dr. Phibes like walks upstairs and starts playing organ again.
Yeah. He does. Dr. Phibes is kind of a dick about this because he does come back downstairs and he's like heckling like
he's,
Dr. Vasilius
in
as
his
he's.
face.
This guy's
And he's
talking
like,
some
look
mad
up.
shit.
He's telling him like, look up. You only
Yeah.
have this much time. It's like, dude, I know. I'm trying.
Like, you don't have a lot of time, do you? Oh, it's not going very well, I think.
Trout comes to his senses. The policemen roll out. Vasilius sees that he has like 30 seconds left. The policemen show up.
Yeah.
It's all very
Phibes was
tense.
entirely unprepared for, I would say, because they just bust the fuck in.
Yeah, they're just like,
immediately.
where are we? And he says like, Volnavia, destroy everything. And she's like hitting everything with an axe. It's crazy.
It's really funny because
just-
I thought by that he meant like destroy all the documents or something.
No,
but
she's just destroying everything.
she's
Like
just
breaking down the
breaking
walls,
stuff.
like,
She's
like
like
hitting
hitting,
the
down
curtains
the
with an axe.
automatons and like
and she's also doing it like very poorly.
Yes.
Like she's
Yeah.
not doing it. She's like getting a little hits in, but she's not
Yeah.
actually destroying anything.
She's damaging the resale value for sure.
Right, that's all she's doing.
Yeah.
once the police and everyone is there, Dr. Phibes like lowers his organ back down into his chamber so they can't find him. And then Dr. Vasilius does the thing. He gets the key. He moves his son. And Volnavia, who is down there also,
Yeah.
gets caught in the acid. And
that's
is
when I thought we were going to get to see her clockwork face.
Yes.
But she's just a
just a
poor,
maybe cut
poor
for time.
intern. Yeah.
Dr. Trout rushes down and is like, I keep calling him Dr. Trout.
Yeah,
Inspector
Dr.
Trout
Professor
rushes down
Inspector
and he's
Trout.
like,
Inspector
all right,
Trout,
call them an
Inspector
ambulance.
Trout.
And then we get the cool part, which is the end. Phibes like recreates his face because he took off his mask and he's like putting all his prosthetics back on. And he walks back to this room where he has like a mirror pointed at like an angle upwards, and in the floor is his wife in a casket, because they had discovered earlier that his wife and him were both not in their graves as they had originally believed.
Right.
He like has this whole theatrics about it of like going in and laying with her and kissing her on the shoulder, and then he stabs himself in the arm and like is draining out his blood for embalming fluid, and it slowly starts to switch, and then the top of the mirror lowers down.
He's getting rid of the ketchup inside of him for that sweet, sweet honey mustard.
I mean, yeah, that's literally what it looks like. But then the thing closes and it's like a lunar eclipse, which is cool because it puts the earth in darkness, plague of darkness, all that stuff.
And the inspectors don't actually, they come down and they don't actually
They don't find him because it's in the floor.
Yeah. So they're like, we'll never know where he is.
Or if he'll strike again. And then that's the end of the movie.
And now I guess
Dr. Vibes must rise again!
I guess he will. That's wild. Doesn't seem right,
Seems
but okay.
impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie slaps so hard. Everyone should watch it. Even if you listen to this entire podcast without having broken to watch it anyway.
The theatrics are incredible.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's insane. They're having so much fun. There's a bit where there's so many little moments that we didn't talk about. Like there's a bit where Dr. Phibes is like leaving from the bloodletting one, and he like sees this really like this giant painting of like a naked dude in like that guy's house, and he like walks back over and like looks up at it, and then he's like, all right, and then leaves. Like there's a lot of really great little things.
Y'all think Dr. Vibes pays Volnavia? Like, she get like a stipend or?
I'm telling you, it's college credit. It's college credit.
Yeah.
It's a music course.
Yeah.
Oh, that would make sense.
Since I guess he was like a famous organ player at some point.
It's practical applications of music.
I think a doctorate in music.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
So, is this the best of the best, the best of the worst of the worst, or the movie kind of like?
I think you've accidentally said best of the best.
Yeah, because I kind of like this movie.
It's the best of the best.
I would say
I think it's the best of the worst.
I would say it's the best of the worst because it's still kind of goofy, but I deeply enjoyed it.
Here's my thing. There's no emotional resonance to this movie, but it's exactly what it wants to be.
There's a little bit.
There's a tiny bit. There's a little. There's enough. That's my thing. There's enough.
There's enough.
It's so fun. I am standing by my own diagnosis of best of the best.
Okay.
It's better
Best of the worst, and a 5 out of 5 on the drunk scale for me.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you can watch this drunk. I think you'll have a panic attack.
I think you should watch it.
I think you'd watch this slammed, and it would be awesome.
I think you should watch it at every stage of the drunk scale, so that you can watch it 5 times, 5 plagues.
The drunk, the drunk out of 5,
5 drunk
is
plagues.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly, in sequence.
Yes.
Yeah. Or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It makes more sense as you go.
Tasty.
So you get more. So you start really drunk and get sober as you go along.
Yeah.
That sounds not fun.
Like a terrible time. Yes, exactly like Dr. Phibes is having.
He is having a bad time. But that's one thing I took from this movie. He was not having a good week.
Well, if there's one thing anyone takes from it,
all of
the
our
Phibes.
listeners have a good week. Because I'm ending the show now.
You cut me off from saying that the Phibes are off.
I don't want you to say that, is the thing.
You know,
I can feel it.
You made the Phibes off. They
true.
were on, and then you just turned them off. So
Listen, I'm getting cut open in less than 12 hours, so...
just like Dr. Phibes would.
The Phibes are very off for me.
On that note,
I've got to go to bed. Please like and
guys.
subscribe to our podcast on our various platforms. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, all your podcatchers.
And comment.
subscribe on the YouTube.
Also on YouTube. YouTube is a good place to be if you're a Ghoul School fan. Hell yeah. Because we post highlight videos that Brian's good edits are in, and the full versions of the podcast. It's a delight. Go check us out.
Be sure to check out Brian and I's new show called Comic Breakers as well, where
Comic
we talk about comic book
Breakers.
movies and television.
If you want to hear more about Del Rusk or whatever, Del Rusk.
I wouldn't let them talk about their nerd shit on this show, so they had to go make their own, and I'm sorry.
Yes,
but
we've been excised.
But if you're a big Caro fan, they're going to join us every once in a while, so.
Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about comics. Here I come.
All right, thanks everybody.
It seems another period is at an end, yet so many questions still remain. How do you pronounce the word Phibes? Is there any one way to pronounce any word? Are words not but a collection of meaningless vocalizations, given life and purpose by the speaker and their audience? Given beauty through collective belief? These are not questions for mortal men, and yet the word remains a fixed point at the center of my thoughts. Phibes. Anyway, be sure to join us again next week for another lesson in terror.